I'm back, guys. I'm glad you can make it for another video. So tell me, do you guys like the N64? Personally, it's not one of my favorite consoles, although it was a pioneer of 3D gaming along with the PS1. Though nowadays it's seen as sort of a rough console, I do still enjoy some of the games offered by it. Recently, Nintendo released their Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, which not only offers Genesis games, but also offers N64 games. And to say that this expansion pack has been controversial is kind of underselling it by a bit. For fuck's sakes, the controversy alarm. That's much better. Fucking hate that thing. So I thought, let's ride that controversy wave by reviewing every launch title for Nintendo Switch Online. Now, I'm not as familiar with the N64 as I am with other consoles, so any emulation issues I may not point out, either I didn't notice, or it didn't affect my playtime enough to say anything about it. Besides, we have enough to complain about with this service. So first off, the fact that they released this expansion pack at $30 more is already kind of dumb, but really? 9 titles? And yeah, I know you get the Genesis games and Animal Crossing DLC, but guess what? I literally don't give a shit about either of those, so essentially I'm paying $30 extra a year for 9 titles right now. But let's talk about the things that N64 Online offers. Well, different to NES and SNES Online, you can actually play both the North American versions as well as the European versions of these games within the same app. So instead of playing Starfox 64, you can play Lylatwars instead. Oddly enough though, Japanese games were not included in there as well. You'll have to make a separate Japanese account like I did. And no rewind feature? I know NES Online did not initially launch with the rewind feature, but why didn't they include it? What a strange omission. Furthermore, no video options either. They didn't include a CRT board or anything like that. I mean, you could have gotten away with that in 2006 on the Wii Virtual Console, but it's really stupid not to include anything like that for people who like those video options. Now you might be asking, do you use those filters? Well, no, but other people should have that option. But not enough ranting about the emulation. Let's take a look at the first game on our list. Also, keep in mind, I only played about an hour of each of these games, so these are first impressions and not in-depth reviews. Well, what can you say about this game that hasn't already been said? Super Mario 64 was one of the pioneers of 3D gaming, and it still plays pretty well today. Sure, it has a little bit of early 3D jankiness, like the weird camera controls, but it is still solid. So the basic plot of the game is you're going around the castle jumping into paintings to collect Power Stars, the game's main collectible, to save Princess Peach from the evil King Bowser, with the reward of cake promised. It's quite a simple plot, but it works in this game's favor, allowing the game to focus on its world design and gameplay, and for their time, they're pretty great. On the emulation front of this game, I didn't notice anything odd about the game's performance, though it is important to note this is the US version of the game that includes the BLJ, unlike Super Mario 3D All-Stars. So, good news for LGBTQ people, Bowser is once again gay.
So long, gay Bowser!
Although the Japanese version is actually the Shindo version, which doesn't have BLJs or gay Bowser.
Bye-bye!
Therefore, making it the worst version of Super Mario 64 to play. You know, honestly, I actually prefer this version of Mario 64 to the 3D All-Stars version. Call me weird, but I usually like emulators to show games pretty stock looking, and 3D All-Stars smooth assets I'm a bit less of a fan of. But overall, it's a good way to play a classic game. Let me preface this by saying I could not test the online for this game, but from what I've seen, does not seem great at times. But Mario Kart 64 is still a fun time, although this game has aged a bit worse than Mario 64 has in my opinion. Since I really couldn't test too much multiplayer in my time playing, Mario Kart 64 does not have great single player offerings. You pretty much do Grand Prix and time trials and... Are you fucking kidding me? They really couldn't have been bothered to add controller pack support? This has been an issue since the Wii. It's been 14 years and they really couldn't fix that issue? Give me a fucking break. Look, I love Nintendo. I have for over 15 years now. But when shit like this happens, it pisses me off to no end. They really just love to test everybody's patience by putting in less work. And this isn't even the worst of it. Oh, we'll get to you. But let's get back to Mario Kart 64. Aside from that, this game is still good. The controls are a bit different and frankly not up to par with something like Mario Kart 8, but it's still a fun time to be had. And there's a good variety of courses to choose from. It's a solid time to be had alone or with some friends. Although, maybe don't play it online. Oh man, this game is great. And in all honesty, this might end up being my preferred way to play the N64 version of this game. See, N64 Online has this nice feature of when you hold ZR, the face buttons will act as C buttons, which makes off-pulling moves in regular stages and in all range mode super fast and fun. So let's talk about that story. You play as Fox, along with his partners Falco, Peppy, and Slippy, and they make up Starfox, a team of intergalactic fighters who travel to Venom to stop Andross, the mad scientist trying to control the galaxy. Graphically, this game holds up great, and it's one of the few N64 games to actually be fully voice acted. What's nice is this version on Switch actually supports Rumble, making you really feel like you're in the game. This is a pretty great port of the game. However, I wouldn't recommend you play this version. The 3DS version is a lot better. On top of the better graphics, the game does control a lot better. Admittedly, the N64 controls are still a bit janky, but whatever version of the game you play, you're still going to have a great time with this, I think. This one was alright. That's it. It's not amazing, it's not terrible, it's alright. So Baby Bowser steals the Super Happy Tree and it makes Yoshi's Island into a pop-up book, making this game look super unique since the level backgrounds are designed to look like cardboard dioramas. Levels work a bit differently than in Yoshi's Island. Rather than just a point A to point B, you have to collect all the fruit in the level, which is a nice change of pace. I really think the main thing holding this game back is the control. I honestly found the control to be way too floaty for my liking. I kind of felt like my character was slipping all over the place, and like I was on ice. And unfortunately, that kind of ruins it for me. If the game doesn't control well, I'm not gonna have a great time. I definitely had some fun with Yoshi's story, but that issue kind of holds it back for me. Oh good god, this one. First off, like I said, I'm no aficionado on how N64 games work, but this one...
Oh no!
I could just tell something was wrong with this one. Looking at comparisons between the N64 and Switch, you can definitely notice issues with the lack of reflections and fog effects. Also, the game seems to run a lot choppier than the others, at least from what I could tell. But what I could notice was the awful input lag in this version. Check out this footage I took from handheld mode and in docked mode, and you can see Link not moving until my fingers are well off the button. I didn't notice this in any other game, so it seems to be an issue with this game only? But enough about the emulation issues. Let's talk about the game. You play as Link, although you can name him whatever you want. So I named him Crappy, just like the service. So Crappy is summoned by the Great Deku Tree by Navi, the fairy that everyone hates, but I never really minded her that much. He tells you to
Get in my belly!
To rid him of a curse. Too bad he dies anyway. But he tells you to go forth and find Zelda so you can defeat Ganondorf. This game does control decently on Switch, at least in my testing, although I think the control stick's a bit more sensitive than the original release, but overall fine. Although the controls are still kind of jank since this game doesn't have like a free camera like Mario 64 did, it did introduce the swordplay we see in Zelda games today. Although, like with Starfox 64, this game got a 3DS version that's way better than the original, with that version honestly making this version look really primitive in comparison. Though with this conversion of Ocarina of Time, I hold out little hope for Majora's Mask on Switch. Yeah, it's bad. Well, this is the second game in the Mario Tennis series, but the first most people played since, you know. Yeah, nobody played that one, but this game has the first inclusion of a popular character, High Poly Toad. Also Waluigi, but he's not as important. Kind of funny that Waluigi was just made to be a doubles character to Wario, and yet he's become so popular in Mario spin-offs like Mario Party and Mario Kart. But about Mario Tennis, this game is really good for its time. It introduced the more wacky side of the Mario sports games with things like Piranha Mode, which adds Mario Kart items into tennis. Or for a more standard tennis experience, you have singles or doubles exhibition matches, which is more pure tennis. Since Mario Tennis is known for being a wackier take on sports, usually, I could definitely recommend this for when you're hanging out playing video games, you're a bit bored of Mario Kart or Mario Party. Mario Tennis could really spice up your hangouts and it could be a super fun time, especially with some friends. This game was pretty good on Nintendo Switch Online, although the controls are definitely the weirdest of all the games. So left and right stick move the reticle, the D-pad moves your character left and right, L and R will jump, and A and B actually don't do anything. But once you get used to these controls, oh man, this game's awesome. An arcade-style rail shooter are rarely seen today, and games like this and Starfox 64 are great changes of pace. So you play as this kid Saki, whose goal is to just defeat the ruffians which are invading Japan, so you gotta play the role of the bug exterminator. See, this game was actually always one I'd always pass by on the Wii Shop channel and never actually buy, but now that I have, I can say I've enjoyed it quite a bit. So this is definitely one game I'll make a note to come back to in the future. Also, these developers treasure made mischief makers, so hopefully that game can get a re-release on Nintendo Switch sometime. It's Dr. Mario, what else do you really want me to say? You match up colored pills to viruses? You can pick different music to use. It's fun, I mean, not really much to say. And that's it. You're kind of just paying $30 for only 9 games at this point. And I'm not really mad about it, sort of just disappointed. Fans have been doing better for years with better emulation and proper PC ports for some of these games. So yeah, I could really only recommend this to a young kid who's trying to learn about Nintendo's past and only has a Nintendo Switch and doesn't have access to a computer. Otherwise, wait for more games or just don't bother at all. But hey, I'm gonna make the best of it by playing a bit more Super Mario 64 in the meantime. N64 games don't have the rewind feature, that's right. God damn.